Never a dull day at West Ham United, is it? So a very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice. Now, there's a statement that will appear on the West Ham website at any time soon, but I've got it in front of me now. West Ham United can confirm it's aware of the announcement from Joint Chair Vanessa Gold that she has reached a provisional agreement to sell her shares to a consortium of PCP Capital Partners led by Amada Staveley and Amada Gold in partnership with Ashland Forest Capital Partners. The proposed transaction will now be subject to a pre-emption rights process. This provides all existing shareholders with the opportunity to acquire their proportional percentage of shares in round one and any remaining shares in round two. This process will take approximately 2 months, and until it's completed, nothing will change regarding the ownership structure of this football club. West Ham would like to assure supporters that the day-to-day running of this football club is in no way affected by this situation. Preparations for the new season continue to take shape with diligence and focus, and we thank all fans for their continued loyalty and backing at this time, for their continued loyal backing at this time. The club will make no further comments while the pre-emption process runs its course. So that's a statement that, if it's not on the website yet, it will be out any moment now. So do look out for that. Yeah, go. It's just appeared now. So, bombshell, or is it a bombshell? I don't know, because this happened while I was doing the watch along the Magdeburg West Ham game. I'm not going to talk about that. You know my feelings about that. I've tried to defend Nuno, but he tried to defend the lead in a friendly game when we were winning 1-0. And then he brought on 3 subs, all defenders, to try and defend them 1-0. And guess what happened? They scored. Anyway, put that aside. I put down preseason football, all about getting match fit and all that sort of stuff. But why didn't he use Magassa? He was on the bench. He gave Diouf 5 minutes. You know, it was frustrating. I'm not going to lie. I tried to defend, and I keep saying that I want to see what Nuno can do when he has a proper squad in front of him, i.e. reinforcements to the squad that we need. And I was really, really worried that wouldn't happen with all these shenanigans going on in the background, with the whole process of now finding out that Vanessa Gold is not selling her shares to Daniel Kretinsky as agreed, but selling them to Amada Staveley. I'll go into the whys and wherefores in a moment, but let me read Vanessa Gold's statement in full. As the daughter of David Gold, it was a great honour to step into a joint chair and director role at the club following his passing in 2023. Whether as a youth team player, lifelong fan, or an owner, my father's priority was always to champion and protect this great club. Over the past 3 years, I've taken huge personal pride in continuing that legacy and will always be hugely grateful to the staff, players, and fans who allowed me to do so. On the 12th of June, Daniel Kretinsky and I agreed a sale that would have made EP Group the single largest shareholder in West Ham. Unfortunately, since that time, the original deal and other alternatives that we have discussed could not be brought to fruition. In light of this, I've now reached an agreement to sell my family's shareholdings to a consortium led by Amada Staveley, Amada Gold, PCP Capital Partners. This sale remains subject to a pre-emption process under which existing shareholders have the option to buy the shares instead. While the process has not yet been concluded, I wanted to be open with our fans about where things stand and my intentions. My ambitions throughout this process has been to ensure the club has the right leadership and ownership to enable West Ham to achieve its potential and return it to its rightful place in the Premier League. Amada Staveley, Amada Gold, PCP Capital Partners will bring deep experience and understanding of what it takes to lead a successful football club, and I have every confidence in what she and her partners can bring to West Ham. While the sale process proceeds, I will continue to act in the club's best interests, as my father did and would expect of me. Of course, Kretinsky replied straight away The agreement we had reached with the Gold family in June provided stability for the club at a crucial time. Today's announcement does the opposite. We will always act in the best interests of West Ham United and are reviewing all our options, including exercising our pre-emption rights in full. So if you haven't managed to read the West Ham statement, I'll do the West Ham statement again, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it, shall we? So the statement again from West Ham United can confirm it's aware of the announcement from Joint Chair Vanessa Gold that she has reached a provisional agreement to sell her shares to a consortium of PCP Capital Partners led by Staveley and Kretinsky in partnership with Ashland Forest Capital Partners. The proposed transaction will now be subject to a pre-emption rights process. This provides all existing shareholders with the opportunity to acquire their proportional percentage of shares in round one. Now, what that means is their proportional portion. As you know, David Gold, 38.8%, Kretinsky, 27%, Gold's 25.1%, Trip Smith, I think 10%, and so on, and then a few other bits and pieces. So what they'll do in round one, they'll go around and it'll be proportioned. So, of course, taking the 25.1% Gold shares out of the equation, the other shareholders then have a percentage claim to that 25.51%. I haven't sat down to work it out, but let's say, I don't know, roughly speaking, it might mean Kretinsky might be, of the 25% available from the Gold shares, he might be eligible to buy, I don't know, 6%, 8%, something like that. David Sullivan will be able to buy, I don't know, 9, he's got the biggest sharehold, maybe 9, 10%, and then Trip Smith maybe 3%, and then all the, you see what I mean? So that 25% will be split down to all the remaining shareholders if they want to buy it. Now, if any of them turn around and say, I'm not interested, I don't want to buy it. David Sullivan, we kind of believe, is not interested in increasing his sharehold just yet. I wonder what will happen now with the whole Staveley thing coming in. But if he turns around and says, I've got no interest, I don't want to buy any, and then Kretinsky turns around and says, well, I'm interested, I'm definitely going to buy my bit. And let's say Trip Smith says, no, thank you. And all the other small shareholders say, no, thank you. If that leaves Daniel Kretinsky the only one in the running, then he has to make a decision in round two of this preemption process. He has to then make a decision whether he decides to match the offer that's been put in by Amada Staveley and her consortium. If he does, then Kretinsky buys out Staveley's 25%. Kretinsky buys out the Gold family's 25.1%, which means that Amada Staveley can't buy him. That'll be that. So instead of increasing his sharehold from 27% to 43%, of course, Kretinsky was only going to buy 16% of the 25% that the Golds were offering. So instead of increasing from 27% to 43%, if he adds another 25% to what he already has, that will give him a 52.1% ownership in West Ham United. He'd be the outright top shareholder at the football club, surpassing the 38.8% that David Sullivan currently holds. Of course, if he was only going to buy the 16%, he would have still surpassed Sullivan, but this would make him a 52% ownership if he matches Amada Staveley's offer to the Gold family. So I hope you got that. So round one of the preemptive process is that Sullivan, Kretinsky, Trip Smith, and all the other shareholders will sit down and go, I'm interested, I'm not interested in buying our proportion of that 25.1% sharehold that the Gold family have. Any of them turn around and go, not interested, and it leaves only Kretinsky, then Kretinsky has got a decision to make. I have to either match what the Amada Staveley has offered, or I step away and let her buy them. If he steps away, Amada Staveley becomes the 25.1% stakeholder and her consortium stakeholders in West Ham United. If he turns around and says, no, I'm gonna match the offer, then Staveley has got no leg to stand on. So this isn't over. This isn't over by a long shot. There's still a lot more to go in this whole business. Now, what I was worried about was the fact that it's going to take between 30 to 60 days, this whole preemption process. My worry is we've got a month left in the transfer window. We've seen what we need in the transfer window after today's game and after the other games in the preseason friendlies. Yes, preseason friendlies are only there, are only there to get match fit. But at the same time, it gives you an indication of what we're missing. We need reinforcements. Carl Walker-Peters is the only right back because Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going. We need a right back. Kilman and Dinos are the only two senior centre backs. We, as good as the young academy players are, we need another senior centre back. That's two players. We've got absolutely zero creativity in the central of midfield. We need an attacking midfielder, a creative attacking midfielder. We've got no pace. We need a winger, absolutely. And we need a backup to Tati Castellanos up front. We need a striker. So at the very least, we need 5 players to come in. And my concern was going to be, what's going to happen now? With the transfer window shutting in literally a month's time, and now this whole preemptive process, because whilst all these shenanigans are going on at the top of this club, every single shareholder can turn around and go, well, I don't know if I'm going to be owner of this club or not in the future. I'm going to have a stake in it or not in the future. Why should I invest any more money? Why should we spend any more? Thankfully, the money that we've earned is not any individual's money. The money we got for Fernandez and Somerville, etc. We can still make footballing decisions, and thank goodness for that. We can still carry on as it was. Nuno's still in place. Whether you want him to be or not is irrelevant. Nuno's still in place. You've got Niels Koppen. I wonder what he must be thinking, having just joined. And of course, we've got Ben Chorley is joined on a temporary basis to bolster the scouting process. So we've got these people still in place. We've got Kretinsky still signing the check, or the board will. Of course, anything that is going to require approval will still go to the board. Vanessa Gold has still got a duty to and a respect to this club. Her duty will still be to ratify any deals that we make, either to sell more players or to buy more players. So thankfully, that statement has put me somewhat at ease, and hopefully has put a lot of fans at ease as well, because business will carry on as usual, or as best as it possibly can, which means we've got to get out there sharpish and start getting some footballers in to this club. But what is now going? I mean, what you can now start looking at, now that we've got that assurance, let's now start looking at what on earth has gone on. Because all this sort of started off, okay, we got relegation. We knew that was bad enough. And then, of course, we had the Brady who left well before we got relegated, which everybody was cheering about. And then, the surprise came that David Sullivan, because of his personal issues, decided that he had to step away. Fantastic. The enthusiasm, everyone being so, the positivity around this football club was immense. It was just enormous, to think that not only did we see Brady go, but we saw Sullivan go almost within the same, period of time. Well, within a month of each other. And it was fantastic. A new lease of life. Daniel Kretinsky and Vanessa Gold stepped forward and started talking about the future of this football club and doing right by it, and how they wanted to make sure that we got back to where we belonged in the Premier League. And this is what they were planning to do. And, the talk about, Kretinsky buying some of the shares from the Gold family, etc. So what's gone wrong since then? Because one argument could be that Daniel Kretinsky, I mean, it comes in, I'm going to talk about the value as well in a minute, but one argument can be that Daniel Kretinsky has sat down with, now let's not forget, she agreed on the 12th of June. They put a statement out and said, we'd agreed. So Kretinsky put in an offer and she would have gone, yeah, okay. Now she's alluding to, what Vanessa Gold is alluding to, is that Kretinsky's just taken too long to make the deal happen. If you don't, let's not forget, when that statement came out on the 12th of June, it was going to take a couple of weeks for it all to be done and dusted. It's like, yeah, we've agreed, a couple of weeks, it'll all be done and we'll carry on. And 2 weeks came, 3 weeks came, 4 weeks came, we're now at the end of July, beginning of August, and nothing materialized. Everyone looking at Company's House, trying to see if any shareholdings have changed hands and all that sort of stuff. Nothing. So what Vanessa Gold is implying, is suggesting, is that basically Daniel Kretinsky took far too long in completing this deal. Now, why was she in a hurry? She's been waiting 3 years to sell the shares anyway. These shares have been on sale since after the Prague final. And I'll never forget, I remember it distinctly, after the final, talking about, Vanessa Gold talking, saying about, she wanted to sell some shares. But at that time, there was a whole thing about keeping a legacy for her father. Apparently that she wanted to keep a percentage over. She didn't want to sell them all. She wanted to keep a percentage in honor of her father. She's just sold the lot. She's just got rid of the whole 25%. That's it. Finished. The gold legacy is done and dusted. There is no more gold legacy. So how come she was all of a sudden, after waiting 3 years, all of a sudden she's in a hurry? She couldn't wait for Kretinsky to ratify the deal. Now, the other scenario could be is that even though she may have agreed, and this is maybe where this might be more realistic, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her, but this is another thing that might be a bit more realistic is that she agreed a deal with Kretinsky. It was all being, done in the background, and all of a sudden, Staveley comes along and says, "How much is Kretinsky offering you for your shares?" "Oh, he's offered me whatever." "Oh, I'll tell you what, if you give me all your shares, I'll give you this much." Now, look, if I own something valuable and someone comes to me and says, I'll tell you what, I really love I love your watch, mate. Really beautiful watch. I'll tell you what, I'll offer you 500 quid for that. And I'll be going, well, it's worth more, but it's a reasonable offer. And then, that person's come to me and offer me that money. It's like, and then I don't hear for a few weeks. And then someone else comes along and goes, "Still, I'll tell you what, I'll offer you £1,000 for that watch." And I'll be like, fuck yes. Of course I'll take it. And I guess this is probably where Vanessa Gold is at. It's quite possible that Kretinsky has agreed a value with her and she's gone initially, yes. And then Staveley's turned around and gone, "I'll give you more." Now, here comes the whole valuation scenario. And it kind of gives me a headache to talk sort of values and all that sort of stuff. But it's quite important because when West Ham United win the Premier League, we were valued at, give or take, about 750 to 800 million pounds, give or take. That means 25%. Let's take 800 million. That means 25% stake in a football club means the value of your shares, 25%, 800 million pounds, is 200 million pounds. That's your value. Now, since relegation, the value, according to financial experts in football, the value has now gone down to circa 450, 500. Let's say 500 at best. 500 at best, which means that your value, your 25% stake, has gone from 200 million pounds to about 125 million pounds. Now, my understanding is, I don't have the figures, but best guess that Kretinsky would have probably offered Vanessa Gold a similar valuation for 16% of her shares, which roughly equates to about 90 million pounds. 85, 90 million pounds, give or take. Now, Staveley has come in and has offered way above that. In fact, from the figures that we're seeing, the 150, 160 million pounds offer that Staveley has made for the 25% stake equates to the club being valued at about 600 to 640 million pounds. All of a sudden, it's shot up from 500 to 640. That's quite a steep increase. Given that the season hasn't even started, we don't even know how we're going to get along. And by the looks of things, we could be in the Championship for a long time to come. So Staveley has really gone way above what probably Kretinsky has offered. Now, who's right and who's wrong? Now, Kretinsky's right because he's offered what he believes is the going rate. But then Vanessa Gold is right because someone else has come in and has offered her silly money for her stake. And not only just the 16%, but the whole 25.1%. So that is important. It's important to know the valuation of this football club because by the looks of things, Staveley, if she's offered £160 million, is for the 25% stake, is saying that this club is worth about 640, which seems rather excessive to me. I don't know. But then again, I don't know how these things work. I don't know how these estimates are calculated and who does what. But Kretinsky's got a big decision to make now, of course, because now his initial offer was for 16% of the shares at about 80, 90 million pounds, give or take. Now he's got to find double that. Not that it will be difficult for him to do so, but now he's got to find almost double that in order to take the whole share percentage off the Gold family. Will he do it? This is the next bit. Who's the best person to run this football club? Of course, you're going to get an awful lot of people saying, well, what's Kretinsky done in the 5 odd years he's been at West Ham? And I've been one of them. You know, every time there's been a bit of a shit show at West Ham United, I've been one to ask exactly the same question. What's Kretinsky doing in all this? Where is he? What's his worth? And I came to the conclusion that he was just an investor and nothing more than that. He was there to him, and whilst his money was making money in West Ham United, and he's been getting a good dividend, even though we've been skint. You know, you don't go into a business to just allow your money to just sit there and rot. You go into it because you calculate that you're going to make something back from it. And Kretinsky, you know, has made a good deal of money out of West Ham United. And now, what now? You know, in the last 5 years, he's done nothing, and all of a sudden he's interested. And I don't know which of these to really hang on to. You know, is Kretinsky really now really interested in West Ham United and doing what's right for it? And if he was, then why hasn't he done anything in the past? Yes, one could argue he wasn't the biggest shareholder or the biggest decision maker because Sullivan was on the board, etc. And you could see that. But it didn't take much for Kretinsky to get everybody else on his side and get Sullivan out. You know, Sullivan off the board, Sullivan resigned. Okay, some people are saying, well, Sullivan only resigned because of his personal situation. But it sounds as if, you know, when you sort of read between the lines, Sullivan was not very happy at the fact that he felt he had no choice. He didn't get the backing of his board. He had no choice but to leave. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on behind the scenes because now Kretinsky is upset at Vanessa Gold because he thought a deal was in place. And I don't know. We don't know. We understand that if Staveley does manage to buy into this football club, she does not get along with Sullivan. They're not the best of friends. So that's going to be an interesting scenario. So there's a lot that's happening behind the scenes. And Kretinsky now, how is he going to? Let's say Staveley does get into West Ham United. How's Kretinsky going to be towards Staveley? Now, we hear the next thing, of course, there'll be a hostile takeover. You know, if Staveley has a foot in the door, there'll be a hostile takeover targeting the Sullivan shares. That's possible. That's quite likely. I don't know how hostile takeovers work. Maybe you need to get the rest of the board to back you to make that hostile takeover happen. If Kretinsky's not on Staveley's side, if he's already upset with Vanessa Gold and Staveley, well, how's that going to work out exactly? This is not what we want at this moment in time at West Ham. The good thing is the statement that the club have brought out just after 6 o'clock tonight. The fact that they're going to concentrate on what's needed for this football club. Jared Bowen, you know, the thing that I said in the show the other day, you know, some of my mates are suggesting that Jared Bowen has been lied to. Some people are suggesting we as a fan base, the season ticket holders, have all been lied to. I'm not so sure about that because I'm sure at the time when Jared Bowen flew over to Prague to meet Kretinsky, as far as he was concerned, the deal was going ahead. He was buying the gold shares, and this was his plan, his roadmap for West Ham United moving forward. So I don't think he's been lied to. I think Kretinsky told him what he needed to tell him at that time because that was the truth. But now, what now? what's going to happen now? Now, who is best to take over this football club on a permanent, on a long-term basis? Kretinsky, who's done nothing, or Amada Staveley, who, when you look at her past record, everybody looks at Newcastle United and the success story she brought there at the time. Bringing in a large consortium, rich owners, and all that sort of stuff. Can she do the same at West Ham? Because she's not coming in to do it for the love of West Ham United, people. I assure you. I can see the comments. Please forgive me. I will come to them. She's not coming in to do it because she loves West Ham United. Far, far from it. She's coming in to make money, and she will be here today, gone tomorrow, because Staveley doesn't hang around for far too long at any football club. So I give her 2-3 years. Now, look, those 2-3 years may prove to be what we need, what we crave for. A new ownership, an ownership that's got ambition, an ownership that's got proper money to be able to spend. Of course, proper money only is within the restrictions of now squad cost ratio. You can still only spend, proportionate to what you earn and all that sort of stuff. So we've seen the success, or the relative success, at Newcastle United. So of course we're looking at that going, why can't we be that? She took over, I believe, when they were in the Championship. They brought them back up, they're successful, brought in Eddie Howe and all that sort of stuff. And it could be done. The same thing could be done now. So is that all right for us? I mean, stupid question. I'm sorry. Is that all right for us? But do we believe that that's what will happen? We do not know. We do not know. We want to think so. So it looks on the surface, it looks as if Staveley would be a fantastic thing for West Ham, but we don't know. I'm in two minds about Kretinsky. I don't know what to make of it. I kind of wanted to see what plan he had. Now that may not materialize. Of course, if he uses his pre-emption rights and matches what Staveley offers, then we will see what Kretinsky's made of. But there's going to be a lot more going on, because if Staveley gets in, it's not the end of it. Then she's got this battle of a hostile takeover. That's what's going to happen. How's this going to pan out? What is Kretinsky going to do? And now we can see why Kretinsky possibly didn't invest that £100 million that he was talking about. 100 million he was going to put, we kept hearing he was going to put £100 million into the club in order to finance some signings. And now you're probably thinking, well, hang on a minute. Well, I'm not going to end up being, the major shareholder in this football club. And why should I spend any of my money? But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We've not heard the end of it. It's going to be another 60 days from now to establish, up to another 60 days to establish what happens next. But for those of you who have joined late, let me just go through all the statements that have been made, just as a last thing. Now, why is that gone? There we go. So the first statement came from Amada Staveley. Sorry, the first statement came from Vanessa Gold. And in her statement, she said, as the daughter of David Gold, it was a great honor to step in a joint chair and director role at the club following his passing in 2023. Whether as a youth team player, lifelong owner, my father's priority always to champion and protect this great club. Over the past 3 years, I've taken huge personal pride in continuing that legacy. Will always be hugely grateful to the staff, players and fans who allowed me to do so. On the 12th of June, Daniel Kretinsky and I agreed a sale that would have made EP Group the single largest shareholder in West Ham. Unfortunately, since that time, the original deal and other alternatives that we have discussed could not be brought to fruition. The original deal and other alternatives. Wonder what these other alternatives were. Be interesting to sort of break that down and try and find out what that's all about. But the original deal could not be brought to fruition. We don't know why. It seems to be a slight implication on Kretinsky, as if to say he's not the one that followed through. Who knows? In light of this, I've now reached an agreement to sell my family sharehold to a consortium led by Amada Staveley, Gadusi, PCP Capital, blah, blah, blah. This sale remains subject to a pre-emption process under which existing shareholders have the option to buy the shares instead. While the process has not been included, I wanted to be open with our fans. Have you been open with our fans, Vanessa Gold? Because we thought on the 12th of June that you were selling your shares to Daniel Kretinsky. And out of the blue, you're not. Want to open the fans about where things stand and my intentions. My ambition throughout this process has been to ensure this club has the right leadership and ownership to enable West Ham to achieve its potential return to its rightful place in the Premier League. Amada Staveley, Gadusi, PCB will bring deep experience and understanding of what it takes to lead a successful football club, and I have every confidence in what she and her partners can bring to West Ham. In other words, I don't really believe Daniel Kretinsky can do it, but I believe what Amada Staveley can bring to the table. You can read that. You can read between those lines, and that's the conclusion you can come to. So for whatever reason, she's not agreed to sell with Kretinsky, but in addition, she's gone on to say she believes that Staveley, Gadusi, and PCP Capital are the better fit for West Ham United's future over Kretinsky. She may well be right. While the sale process proceeds, I will continue to act in the club's best interest, as my father did and would expect of me. In other words, business as usual. So when it comes to sign, to all ratify the transfers that are being requested, she will be there to back them, hopefully. Kretinsky made a short statement in return. This agreement, the agreement that we had reached with the Gold family in June, provided stability for the club at a crucial time. Today's announcement does the opposite. So basically, up in turmoil is Kretinsky's view. This has thrown everything out. And then he went on to say, we will always act in the best interest of West Ham and are reviewing our options, including our pre-emption rights in full. So Gold is saying, I've done this for West Ham United in their best interests. Kretinsky is saying, this is not in the best interests of this football club. So which is true? Which is true? And then the statement, if you've not yet caught up on it, the statement on the club's official website saying, West Ham can confirm it is aware of the announcement from Joint Chair Vanessa Gold that she has reached a provisional agreement to sell her shares to a consortium of PCP Capital Partners led by Amada Staveley, Medrad Gadusi, in partnership with Ashland Forest Capital Partners. The proposed transaction will now be subject to a pre-emption rights process. This provides all existing shareholders with the opportunity to acquire their proportional percentage of shares in round one. And let me rephrase what that means. Their proportional percentage means you take the 25.1% at stake. Sullivan has got 38.8%, so he's got a proportion of that 25%. Kretinsky's got 27%, Trip Smith 10%, and so on. So they can go in and buy, and I haven't done the calculations, and I'm sure someone bright has probably done them for me in the chat already. But basically, Sullivan's got options. Every single shareholder has got an option now to say, I want to buy my piece of that 25.1%. And then the round two part of this is anyone that turns around and says, I'm not interested, leaves whoever's left over. And if they turn around, any shareholder turns around and says, I'm still interested in round two, let's say Sullivan, and we believe that Sullivan's not going to increase his sharehold. But let's say Sullivan says, I'm not interested. And let's say Kretinsky and Trip Smith say, we're both interested. So they can then go in and buy a proportion of the shares accordingly, and then pay the going rate that Amada Staveley has offered. This process is going to take approximately 2 months, and until it's completed, nothing will change regarding the ownership structure of this club. This is the bit that was vital, and I'm really, really, really glad that they put it in. West Ham United would like to assure supporters that the day-to-day running of the football club is in no way affected by this situation. Preparations for the new season continue to take shape with diligence and focus, and we thank all fans for the continued loyal backing at this time. The club will make no further comment while blah, blah, blah. So, again, have we been lied to as a fan base? Have we been hoodwinked in order for those season ticket shares to season tickets numbers to rise exponentially? I don't know. I don't think we have. I don't honestly think we have. This has come out. Many people are saying that we've heard about the Staveley interest for quite some time, but the actual offer has only just been made, only recently. Few days, few weeks, maybe at the very, very most, but it's only just been made. So that means that when we were all buying our season tickets, we were all aware or thinking that we knew that Sullivan has stepped out of the limelight, and we believed that Daniel Kretinsky had a plan in place to get this club back to where we belong. I believed it. I don't have any reason not to have believed that, and I don't think anyone should really have a reason not to have believed that. The time it's now taken, the fact that it's taken so long, does put doubt in people's minds as to what was the actual aim and what was the actual ambition. The instability that it's going to cause is going to be really interesting. I just hope now that the thing that we do now above anything else is get the 5, half a dozen players we need. I don't care if they're loans. I don't care if they're permanent signings. Get the players we need to get us back into the Premier League. Right. I've just spoken for 35 minutes non-stop. Good afternoon to you, Trudge, or good evening to you. Randy, I hope you're well. Staveley deal going through. Well, not yet for 25.1% for gold shares. Looks like she will probably go for Sullivan shares next. If he makes it difficult, she will then go for Kretinsky's as well. Let's see, mate. Let's see what happens. This is not over by a long shot. Randy, Kretinsky did have enough time prior to Staveley's coming and purchasing gold shares, and she has more intent in wanting to take over West Ham than Kretinsky short term. It's a mess, and hopefully it gets sorted. Black Country, I hope you're well, mate. 100% behind the Staveley takeover. Yes, they're in it for the money. Tell me what business person isn't. Of course, true. But with Staveley in charge, more stability, ambition, and prosperity. Kansas, good evening to you. Good for Amanda. Unfortunately, Kretinsky, you snooze, you lose. Good business lesson for you. He's a massive businessman. I wonder if it's that straightforward. But, Randy, in terms of the squad, all we can hope for is while the takeover is going on, hopefully we can still address the problem positions in the squad. With pots going, more money coming in, we need signings. Randy again. BCH, hope all is well. I'm saying hello to Black Country there. Ricky, always have and always will be a complete circus. And do you know the irony of it all, Ricky, is we can't even blame Sullivan for it. Whereas in the past we blamed him, and now we're just sitting there going, it's got nothing to do with him. Who else we got? Good evening to you, Ray. I hope you're well, Trudge. Get them to tell us our budget while they're at it. Would be nice to know. Trying to get through as many comments as possible. Josh, I like the idea of Staveley taking over, but to me, it's going to disrupt the season. I feel that. And maybe that is what Kretinsky is alluding to. Nice one. Good evening. Roll up, roll up. Welcome to the circus. Josh, I reckon we aren't getting promoted this season. You know what? That could be an impact of this. If it drags on too long and it impacts on us, especially getting the players that we need in, you might be right. Randy, I hope the takeover situation does not get messy. Staveley wants to take full control. Then if Kretinsky wants to do the best for West Ham, he should allow Staveley to complete the process. Now, I said some time ago, be careful what you, I don't want to say, but in a way, be careful what you wish for. If Staveley takes over the full club, look at what's happened to when the Glaziers took over Man United. When the Glaziers took over Man United, they saddled the club with enormous debt. So basically, what they spent to buy the club, they were bringing it back and they were saddling the club with debt. I've been told that Staveley could do exactly the same thing to West Ham United. Would that be a good thing in the long term? I don't know. Adam, good evening to you. So the club remains in status until the window closes. We don't go up with this squad? Well, hopefully I've allayed your fears. Apparently, business as usual. So let's hope that means we get players in the summer. Probably spend money in January. Hope it's not too late. It will be too late by then. Clive, it's become a farce. Are we being played again? Hopefully I've given a logic to say I don't think that that's the case. But tell me what you think in what I've said. Randy, short term, it might not help us in terms of right now, this season, but in long term, if Staveley does become majority shareholder, we'll be in a better place if she has a plan and a vision going forward. I'm going to get some other comments in. Good evening to you, Dave. Nobody knows anything, so let's stay positive and hope for the better. It can't get worse. Phil, right now, we ain't getting promoted. David, sick of this Sully half out, and now Kretinsky, another clueless owner regarding football, is doing exactly the same, holding us back so he can dictate. We are cursed. Do you still think that after everything I've just said? Daniela? Let's be honest, it's not been all that great. It's not all great at Newcastle. Well, it started off all right, and then it's Adrian. Sully will be loving this. We'll be seeing this as an opportunity to become relevant again. Agreed. It's just a game. Could be great news eventually, a takeover. Yeah. Trodge, if they are after the land, then they better build us another stadium with at least 70,000 if we're selling 50,000 season tickets. Well, there's the other thing that we haven't discussed, isn't it? Is what is this all about? You know, Staveley, it's all about football clubs. But what's this consortium after? Keep hearing that the Reuben brothers are involved, even though some others have suggested that they're not. What's this all about? You know, it's not about West Ham United, is it really? It's about the land that the stadium sits on. That's what this is about, isn't it? This is about a land grab. This is about going into, apparently Staveley has already had conversations about buying the stadium. Why would you buy a stadium that's not making any money? Because it's nothing to do with the stadium. It's all about the land grab. That's where the money is, people. It's not in West Ham United. It's not in the bloody stadium either. And who's it that just said if they're going to buy, you know, Trodge, you know, they better build us a 70,000 seat capacity stadium. If they do, it won't be there, mate. It'll be somewhere completely different, because that land is the prize, isn't it? It's not the stadium. It's not West Ham United. It's the land. Randy, Daniela, Newcastle fans have stated that since she left the club, things have gone in a downward spiral. Has not been the same when she first came to Newcastle. But here's the problem here. Staveley doesn't hang around for more than what, 3-4 years at best? Afternoon, GP. I hope you're well. What then? What happens then? Sharky, afternoon to you as well. Mr. Wickram is here. You told me we had enough. I told you we had enough what? You need to be clearer, David. It's Wiggy, by the way, people. He's so doom and gloom, it's untrue. Costa, sounds like an absolute mess. How typical of West Ham. We never make it easy. Adam, bang on lack of creativity. We're really short in quality and numbers. Ibrahim, good evening to you. Irons, Kretinsky only got himself to blame. Can't blame Gold. Maybe she wanted to sell all her shares rather than part. That's possible. That's possible. But then let's not forget the statement that came out. The joint statement that they'd made an agreement as to what was going to happen next. So she seemed to be happy then. Randy, still, even with what is going on with this takeover, do you still reckon we'll sort out our transfer business? Hopefully, the statement that came out on the club website that I've read you out a couple of times seems to suggest that yes, business will be as usual. Ibrahim, hope you're having a nice weekend. Ray, the scouting is shite. How much are they getting paid? Let's see, mate. You know, when the window closes, I'll then analyze our squad, and I'll analyze how Nuno's playing. I said during the watch along, if Nuno gets the players he wants in order to play more attractive football, faster football, and he's still playing the way he does, then it's down to Nuno. But let's see what happens when the window shuts. Phil, what about the debt? Is that coming out of the sales, or did the Kretinsky deposit or give a loan? Bear in mind, it was 100 mil until 30th of June, but now 40 in the championship. Right, the debt. Well, some of the debt's been paid off, obvious, because we've done a lot of business throughout. You know, when there was a statement that came out that we're not in trouble with PCR, it meant, right, okay, so something's gone in to actually help. And you look at the transfer business over the last three windows, last summer, in the last 3 windows, last summer, winter, and the winter before that, we sold a lot of players. We got a lot of big money earners off the pay bill, off the wage bill, and of course we loaned out a load of players who were on high wages last season. That also helped as well. And then of course we had the sale of Paqueta, we had the sale of Fernandez, the sale of Somerville. That's all sort of helped out as well. So I think we're in a better position. We still owe money. Of course we do. Every football club owes money to teams that have sold us players. But my understanding is that the debt is more manageable. How about, let's put it that way. The debt is more manageable. Adrian, I thought the Golds had wanted to retain a small shareholding to respect David Gold's wishes. Apparently, that's what we were all led to believe. Ibrahim, absolutely, Randy. Hope you're having. They're all having a good weekend. Yuha, is it rare to have takeovers? It is rare to have takeovers go like planned. West Ham have an opportunity to make it a circus and leave everyone involved angry and bitter. Randy, I see you've got a lot. I'll tell you what, I'll do as many as I can. Randy, Vanessa wanted the best price, and if Kretinsky could not pay what Vanessa wanted, then she has a right to sell to Staveley as she got the best price. Yeah, I'm not denying that at all. Absolutely, if that was the issue. Trapper, well, and we're going to find out whether it's the right price when I've got a message. If it's the right place, shareholder originally. So here we go. I knew someone will tell me how to break down this sharehold. So give me a second. So West Ham United confirmed. Yeah, I know all that. I know all that. So shareholder original rescales to 100% David Gold. So David Gold, who owns 38.8%. So let me get rid of that. David Gold, who owns 38.8% of current shares, of the 25.1%, bear with me, of the 25.1% gold shares available, he would be eligible for 51.8% of those. Kretinsky, he's got a 27% stake in the club. He will be eligible to buy 36% of those shares. And then West Ham LLC, which is Trip Smith, he's got 8% share in West Ham United. He'll be able to buy 10% of those 25% shares. And other investors, just over 1.5%. So in the round, David Sullivan could end up buying, of the 25% available, David Sullivan could buy 13% of them. He'll be eligible to buy 13% of them. Daniel Kretinsky could buy 9% of them. You with me? So 25%, 13% can go to Sullivan, which will leave 12.1%. Daniel Kretinsky can then buy 9%, which will leave 3.1%. And so the rest can go to Trip Smith, 2.6%, and the other shareholders of 0.33%. I hope that's clear. So the preemption process, the first part is all about, right, does Sullivan want to take 9% of the shares of the 13% of the 25% shares? Does Kretinsky want to get 9% and so on and so forth? Now, what will be interesting when it comes to what you just said there, Randy, about the price is, are they going to match what Staveley has offered? So Staveley has offered, I'm reading 160 million. I'm sure it's going to be down to 140 million before the day's over, but it's 100 and something million, 150, 160 million pounds. So are they going to match that valuation? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Randy, I feel we're seeing how great Stel looks, and it's about thank you very much. Black Country, apparently Kretinsky's not interested in overall control of the club. Why not let Staveley take Gold's shares and then go for Sullivan? Because that's what we're hearing, but it doesn't sound like Kretinsky's that happy about it. It sounds like he's pretty pissed off at the fact that this agreement is not being ratified. GJ, Daniel has been trying to buy players with stamps. Let's scroll down. Tony, good evening to you. Kretinsky has had since the 12th of June to buy the 15% of the Gold family shares. He was going to buy 60. Yeah. He didn't do it. Snooze and you lose. I'm trying to get many different people in. Iron Ore, good evening to you. You honestly think Sully won't buy 38% of Gold shares at less than Premier League prices? You honestly think Sully won't buy 38% of Gold shares at less than Premier League prices? Staveley's up the ante. Staveley is now up the ante. Staveley is now suggesting that this football club is worth about £640 million with £160 million offer. So it doesn't matter now. Whoever's interested in, their rights issue, their preemptive rights, means that they've got to match that valuation. Ibrahim, Clarenboo say it was a ploy to sell season tickets and make people feel good about the upcoming season in the lower division. I don't think that at all, to be honest with you. Everyone's got a view, but I don't think that's the case, to be quite honest. Iron Ore, that is why Kretinsky has said this is not in the interest of the club. Who else? Paul. Wonder if Amada Staveley and her husband will be at the game next week. Interesting. Good point. Tony, Anne Summers is financial trouble. We know this. Vanessa Gold has got to get as much money for her shares as she can. Yeah. And look, people, I am not for 1 minute suggesting that what Vanessa Gold has done is wrong. Of course you do. You've got a value of something. You want to get the highest return on it. Absolutely. Randy, one of the main issues with Kretinsky, he still has 40% of Sparta Prague, as we know, as well. So he can't own two clubs if he wanted to. Yeah, well, he can. He can. You look at, what's his name? Marikanis at Nottingham Forest, who owns Olympiakos, and he owns a third club. I don't remember the name of it, but he owns 3 clubs around Europe. So you can own more than one club. The only problem is if those clubs end up playing in the same European competition, and then that becomes a conflict of interest. And when that happened, was it Marikanis who then put Nottingham Forest in some sort of like, I don't know what it's called. He basically stepped away, and he allowed like a sort of consortium on his behalf, acting on his managing his stake in Nottingham Forest, so the conflict of interest wouldn't happen. And joint dual ownership of football clubs is becoming more and more prominent. It's going to become a massive problem in the future, where more and more owners of football clubs want to own more than one club, and that's going to become a big issue. So it's only correct if you're competing in the same competition. Hammer, bit behind, but good evening to you, mate. I hope my repeating of what's been said has helped you to catch up. Ibrahim, I don't know. This does seem like a classic ball smokescreen tactic. Who do you blame? Because we would have blamed Sullivan. You can't do that now. So maybe they're all cut from the same cloth. Paul, good luck to Vanessa Gold and family. Absolutely. She wants to get the highest value. Nottingham Forest owner Marinakis owns 86% stake in Olympiakos. Trudge. Thank you. GJ, I like Amanda. I would love her at West Ham. Randy, Paul, plus it's a lot of tension to 2 clubs. There will be European issues if we qualify. Fuck me. We're so far off qualifying for. Mind you, we could win a cup and then we'd be in Europe. So there you go. User GP. Ibrahim, look at Villa. They have been restricted. I don't know how much about FFP, but it could be that. I don't know what Ibrahim said. It's too far up for me to find it. Jonas, let's put Jonas's comments. Kretinsky can own 40% in West Ham. It's only the European thing that's an issue, though we are far away from that. Yeah, exactly. Who else do we have? Paul. DK should embrace Staveley, work together, put money into transfers, get business done. Look, if it turns out if Kretinsky hasn't had his nose put out of joint too much, then absolutely Amada Staveley alongside Kretinsky with his business acumen and Amada Staveley's knowledge of football, run football clubs, etc., could be an amazing thing for West Ham. But we keep hearing that Amada Staveley wants to take over the whole club, which means kicking Kretinsky out. He ain't going to be happy about that. Michael, hit the like. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. But look, people, I should have done this ages ago. How long have I been on? I've been on 52 minutes. If you're new to this channel, there's a QR code right there. All you got to do to become a subscriber of the channel is click on that and become a subscriber if you enjoy the content. There's lots more to come. Thank you for that, Michael. Much appreciated. I need a PR man of my own. Randy. Kretinsky still has Foot Locker, Sainsbury's to consider. There's a lot of other priorities, so think best for him is allow Staveley to take over. He can focus on his other businesses. Well, he already has been. Where's the signings? They're coming, so we've been told. Mr. McLaren, how are you? I don't believe it. We even moan about someone other than the Welsh dwarf owning the club. You couldn't make it up. Of course we could. We're West Ham United fans. I do wonder sometimes, what is it about football that I love so much? And what is it about West Ham United that I love so much? It brings you so much headaches. Wouldn't it be easier for me or for anyone to be a fan of, I don't know, golf or tennis or badminton or, something like that, another sport and another club? How could you ever not want to be a supporter of West Ham? It's in your blood. But wouldn't it be easier? I do wonder to myself, my life would be so much easier and so much. I'd have more money in the bank account. I wouldn't keep going to football matches. If I just played, I don't know, tennis, golf, and stuff like that. Or maybe would I be as mad and follow, that's those sports around? I don't know. Good grief. Anyway. Daniel, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. What does Staveley actually gain by only getting 25%? Knowing this could cause serious issues with Sullivan still being a majority shareholder. It's a really, really good question. Apparently, it's a foot in, and then she's going to do a hostile takeover. I genuinely don't know how hostile takeovers happen. Michael's saying hostile takeover coming in, but I would imagine, but correct me if I'm wrong, I would imagine a hostile takeover means you've got to get all the other shareholders on your side in order to take over from the biggest shareholder. She's just pissed Daniel Kretinsky off. So how's he going to be on her side? I agree, bad timing, absolutely. Chris, Staveley's overpaying. Exactly that. Valuing shares at 600 million plus with our significant debt values, a championship club at 800 million. No, exactly that. Exactly what I said earlier on, Chris. You're spot on. Randy, Kretinsky himself is a lot of work. Kretinsky himself, it's a lot of workload to consider. He might see Staveley as the opportunity to take his quick profit for his shares, allow Staveley to proceed without buying Sullivan and his shares. Could do, but Kretinsky knows what value this football club has if we're back into the Premier League. He's not going to sell his shares to Staveley, even though she's overvaluing them and buying the shares of the Gold family. Peter, where does it say that Kretinsky is upset with Staveley for buying shares in Vanessa Gold? Well, I've read the statement out several times. He's not fucking happy. Let's put it that way. Trapper John, will Pablo score before Amanda takes over? Jason, Kretinsky has had plenty of time to have done something for the club. Staveley is experienced in running a football club when it comes to Kretinsky. Too little, too late. Graham, don't know why Kretinsky delayed in buying those shares. I don't think we ever will do. No. Michael, maybe it wasn't Kretinsky who's delayed in buying those shares. Maybe it's Vanessa Gold who caused the delay by going, I'm not so sure, I'll come back to you. Maybe it was Vanessa Gold that delayed the sale of shares because she wanted a bigger return. Michael, all she is after is a quick buck, buy the stadium and the land. That exactly could be it. The Collins, good evening to you. Did Kretinsky have lots of time, though Brady had only just gone? Sullivan has only recently stepped down. He was the saviour only a couple of months ago. Now people seem to have turned on him. So really, really, really good point, that, mate. Really good point. Yep. Daniela, still, I know this is way out, but I think the PFI owners of Newcastle will sell due to it not working at Newcastle. They may well do. I don't know. Foxes. These people have all been put in place by the powers that be. GP, I crave that Russ gets his DJ job back. I crave that. Well, every West Ham employee that's been made redundant gets their job back. I know Russ. I know Russ personally. Russ does have a day job, but a lot of those who work at West Ham United who have been let go, that was their day job. So, yeah, I feel sorry for us, but spare a thought for all the other West Ham employees who have been made redundant, who have got nothing to fall back on. Chris, months of uncertainty now, pre-emption period plus new shareholder checks by both the Football League and new regulator. And maybe that's what Kretinsky is alluding to when it says it's going to cause sort of disruption. Bodger, I think it's a massive land grab by Staveley and her consortium. It probably is. It probably wouldn't surprise me if that's the ultimate aim. GJ, she took over when Newcastle were on the verge of relegation. Oh, did they not go down and they bought them? I might be wrong there. Bodger, Sullivan under investigation by IFR could mean he's to sell his shares sooner rather than later. But he's not under not yet, because what's got to happen is he's got to be convicted of something, and then the IFR would have something to go by. But at this moment in time, there's nothing for them really, to go by. Keith, get Eddie Howe in. I don't think that will happen anytime soon, mate, to be quite honest with you. Rondes, good evening to you. The club does not need a director's loan. Randy, we will be cautious with Amanda's intentions. We can be as cautious as we want. Once she's in place, she can do what the hell she wants. But I would like to think that if we do manage to be professionally run, then I would like to think short-term pain for long-term gain could be worth it. That would mean potentially being in the championship for longer than one season. Andreas, good evening to you. Thank you very much. Appreciated. Last season, we was told a technical director would come in, then a head of recruitment came in, and now a temp scout came in. I think Kretinsky is on board with this, as it will help to benefit the club. Yeah. What, on board with Staveley buying the club? Doesn't sound like it, but I might be completely wrong. Michael, 60 days of not knowing what the management structure will look like and who will be in control just feels like limbo again. It absolutely will be. Absolutely will be. Graham, if he's not found guilty, he might be back. Imagine, yeah. If he's not found guilty, he could ask the board. He could put in a request, a request for the board to reinstate him. And if they don't have any reason not to bring him back, then he could come back on the board. Absolutely, Chris. If this goes through, 3 shareholders with 25% of all whom have a block on certain activities, unless Kretinsky and Staveley work together, keeping Sullivan out as we want, there will be chaos. Randy, Michael, it's not the best situation right now, but hopefully we can still make some signings. Just the structure will not be 100% right now while this is going on, but hopefully there will be movement. Hopefully what the club statement has come out with, there will continue to be movement regardless of what is going on at the very top. Anthony, if Amanda buys Gold shares, what about Kretinsky buying Sullivan shares? That will give him complete control of West Ham. Sullivan's going to want to have to sell. I don't think Kretinsky. I think Kretinsky just wanted that overall control over Sullivan. But this is a new kettle of fish, isn't it? It's a whole new concept. Yeah, yes, he could, but I don't think he'd be interested to do so. The Collins. Worst part of this is Sullivan and collude with Staveley. That would never be an issue if Kretinsky becomes major shareholder. Yeah. Now, my understanding is Sullivan doesn't like Staveley. I don't know what Staveley thinks of Sullivan, but Sullivan's upset with Kretinsky because he thinks he's been shat on. Sullivan doesn't like Staveley if she comes in. Staveley probably doesn't like Sullivan either. Kretinsky is upset with Staveley because he's she's going to end up buying the shares over what he offered. It's not great. You've got a boardroom of people who don't like each other. Tony. Trapper John, can you think of a worse striker or any player we have had at our club? I'm struggling to think of one. Nezareko. What? Nezareko? Is that was that his name? Light L, good evening to you. Lucky we got a great big ground to get all our supporters in. GP, I waited in the Pizza Express for a date with Stel, but got catfish and it was Anton from West Ham Network. You are a bit weird, GP. Bodger, I don't think Kretinsky has any interest in being in full control. He could have been already. Well, could he have been? No, because he would have had to buy. Yeah, and this is what we don't know. We don't know why that sale of shares has not gone through, do we? We're guessing. Amada Staveley's. Got to get these right. Vanessa Gold seems to have alluded to the fact that Kretinsky may, just didn't go through. It could be that Kretinsky, maybe that she just wanted more money. PA, if Staveley can convince Eddie Howe to come, I'd be okay with that. Everyone's expecting that, aren't they? And then, like El says, Eddie's got no passion. Ralph, how are you, mate? I believe this has been going 7 weeks. Same time she was seen at the bowl. It's been going on for some time, but the offer has only just been put in. Graham. Note, they have totally conned the 50,000 ticket holders. I can't see how, to be honest with you. I'm not sure I understand how, because I don't know. Yeah, to me, people like me and various other people bought their season ticket renewals on the first day they were available. We had no clue what was going on then. And I think even at that time, Sullivan was still in role. And then it went to 30,000, then Sullivan resigned, and all of a sudden it went up to 50,000. To be quite honest with you, I think a lot of people bought their shares because Sullivan had stepped away, to be honest with you. Chris, issue for Kretinsky is that shares are worth more to Staveley than Kretinsky. Issue is that shares are worth more to Staveley than Kretinsky. She wants the blocking amount of 25%. DK already has 27%, which was important in being able to block the worst of Sullivan. Yeah. Potts, yeah, it looks like he's going. Good luck to him. I will talk about that in another show. Ian, I'm worried that Staveley's bids are far more about a 5-year profit investment. Look at Newcastle, great while she was there, but she doesn't stay. If it undermines the Kretinsky plan, West Ham will suffer. We do not know what the Kretinsky plan is, and now that's possibly been thrown completely out the window. And you're absolutely right, Ian. Staveley doesn't hang around for too long. And then once she leaves, who knows then? What do you think our transfer budget is, West Ham United fan? I honestly don't know, mate. I genuinely don't know. But I think the biggest bid we're making is for Engels of Celtic, and I think we're going to go to the 25 million that they're asking for. Michael, Gold just taking the most money she can. Get Kretinsky, she can get. Kretinsky was buying at Championship, Staveley buying at Premier League prices. Not quite Premier League, it's a bit in between, but you're on the right path without a doubt. How far behind am I? I'm catching up. Michael, I suppose in 60 days we will know how the team is doing and whether Nuno is up to the job. It may be then that decisions can be made and we're well in time for the January transfer window. If we wait till then, we ain't going up this season. So the business has got to be done now, really, in terms of transfers. I can see the comments about Potts, £10 million. Look, for a player that may not get an awful lot of game time, it's not a bad amount of money to get. We've got a hell of a lot of players in that central midfield role. Potts, I'm surprised. I thought after servicing apprenticeship, going to other clubs on loan, I thought that would stand him in good stead, but seems not. Let's scroll down. Chris, Staveley will want a board seat if given. Well, yeah, she'd get it, I imagine. Difficult to stop Sullivan getting a rep put back onto. Difficult to stop Sullivan getting a representative to put him back on the board. Yeah, if someone is on Sullivan's side, then he could come back in. He could. Dean, good evening to you. As far as I know, Gold put all her shares up for sale. It was Kretinsky who announced the broken down purchase. Gold is well within her rights as a shareholder to sell all her shares. Absolutely not disagreeing with that. Totally not disagreeing with that. Then why put out a statement that it was a joint decision back on the 12th of June? That's the bit I can't get round. Brian, I don't know who is in the best position for us as a club. I don't know who is the best option for us as a club when it comes to ownership, but I do know that whoever it is, they need to make their number one priority in making NEC Nijmegen manager. Let's not jump ahead. We don't even know what's going to happen going forward, let alone trying to decide who our next manager is going to be. GP, even West Ham United first manager could be made into a film. Thank Sid King. He got accused. Think Sid King got accused of stealing money and he committed suicide. Ollie, hello, mate. How are you? I fed you, so you can't be hungry. One of the three cats is here. Good evening to you, Stephen. I hope you're well. Mark, Newcastle, whatever the funds in the background, doesn't change their place in the food chain. No. You've got to contend with squad cost ratio. You can be the richest owners in the world, as we found out, as Newcastle fans have found out, but you can't spend more than your means. Ralph, what is the cost to buy the stadium and that? I really, really have absolutely no idea at all, mate. I really don't know. I mean, when it comes to the stadium, there's a suggestion it'll go for next to nothing because it's such a loss maker, but it's the land. It's the land that's the value. Chris, if Staveley wants Sullivan shares and with Kretinsky pissed at getting consumped, does she cozy up to Sullivan and form an alliance with him? Given that Sullivan don't like her, I don't know how that will work out. Dean, the other thing to consider is, was Kretinsky, sorry, let's read it correctly. The other thing to consider, it was Kretinsky who wanted Nuno to stay. I, for one, would rather Staveley tries to buy the club and has ambitions for West Ham. Bodger. Kretinsky had an agreement to get Sullivan shares when first invested. He didn't. Tough shit. Yeah, he had no, not quite right. There was a provision for him to be able to buy at a certain value, not to necessarily buy the Sullivan shares, but to buy more shares at a certain value, which he didn't take up. Let's scroll down. George. The Czech was never our saviour. He's been here long enough and done nothing to help us. He is only interested in his own pocket. No, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all. Dan, we should be more concerned about the lack of new signings. I absolutely agree. Ollie, hello, how are you, mate? Good evening, Stan. I feel more positive than I was this morning. Well, mate, you're out in Cyprus. What should you not be positive about? Michael, we still owe 12 million over Alvarez. That's how bad our debt is. We owe a lot of money on a lot of players that we bought, unfortunately. Daniela, those who say our scouting is shite, well, we can't buy players that are not available or want to join us and don't want to join us or leave this club or leave their own clubs. Colin, Staveley and a consortium takeover about the stadium and her consortium takeover are all about the land, but she and her consortium are only doing what Sullivan and Kretinsky are after: profits for the land. So basically, cut my mic off there. Basically, you're alluding to it's about the land grab over anything else. Dan. To Michael, that's how modern transfers are done. The bulk of the cost is spread out over the contract length. We're just terrible at balancing the books. Let's scroll down. Let's try and get a few more different names in. Brian, if we don't make the correct signings, what on earth will be the reason for Bowen staying? I agree. Dark Star. Hello, all. Good evening to you, Dark Star. I hope you're well. Frog. As I understand it, Sullivan's wealth is predominantly assets. You are absolutely right. It's all in buildings and land and stuff like that, which is nothing new. But who the hell would back the Dodge pot at this point? Well, you know, stranger things have happened, mate. Stranger things have happened. Alexander, thank you for educating me on the nature of preemption rights in this context. Great. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. Antonio, you've got to tell me what happened to Palace, because your message is 10 minutes ago, and I'm not sure what that relates to. Gary, who's buying players or owes a club? Who's buying players or owe a club stays in Championship? I didn't understand that. You're going to have to rewrite that, mate. I'm really, really sorry. Osborne, good evening to you. What happened to Daniel buying the 25? Well, it was 16%, but clearly Vanessa Gold got a better deal. Randy, still, I'm sure Staveley has a plan and a vision in what she wants to do with West Ham. All we can hope for is she does, at least for us, run West Ham professionally, tries to be ambitious. So we can look. It's all we want our owners to do. Doesn't matter who they are. You know, that's all we want our owners to do. West Ham, but I agree. West Ham, according to my brother-in-law at the Mail, Staveley and her representatives have already had talks with Kretinsky about where she and her partners want to take West Ham. That's all they know at the moment. So very interesting. Let's hope then that Kretinsky's the statement that he's put out is more about him just, you know, covering his back, you know, saying that we would do what's right for, and yeah, every reason to see. I mean, look. It's one area I haven't really looked at too much. What if Kretinsky is in on this? And what if Kretinsky is happy with this? And Kretinsky, what if someone said a moment ago that this has been going on for about 7 weeks ago? What if? Now, why didn't I think of this before? What if when Kretinsky had Jared Bowen over in Prague, Kretinsky said to him, listen, Jared, here's what's happening. Amada Staveley is coming in. She's going to buy the gold shares. She's going to take over all of them. That means between me and her, we're going to have 20, 40, 52% stakehold in West Ham United. We're going to do what's right for this. Maybe that's what Jared Bowen was sold. Maybe he's told Jared, listen, mate, you know, you've got to keep this under your hat. This is what's happening. Staveley's coming in between Staveley and me. Now, fucking hell. It's taken me an hour and 12 minutes. And you told me that like that. You know, it's taken me an hour and 12 minutes to even think about the possibility of Kretinsky and Staveley working together. And then maybe what he's turned around and said to Jared Bowen is, don't worry. I'm doing, what do you call me for? Maybe he said to Jared Bowen, listen, mate, Staveley's coming in. Between me and her, we're going to have 52% stake in this football club. We're going to do what's right with it. Maybe that. You know, my whole thinking in this hour and 15 minutes has completely changed. Osborne, it's a shambles, mate. We're beginning to be a joke of a Championship club. Bet Bowen never knew this was coming. Yeah, he does. Carl, good evening to you. Pretty sure I read somewhere that part of this consortium own large parts of the Olympic Park. No, apparently the Reuben brothers had a stake in some parts of the land around the Stratford, but I don't know if they still exist or not. I think, but I could be wrong. Could be of interest from buying the stadium perspective. The Reuben brothers, if they're part of this consortium, did have some stake in Stratford in the past. I don't know if they still have. I'm not sure. But it could be that. But, you know, if there is someone in this consortium that's got a stake in Stratford now, Very interesting indeed. Carl, would it be a worry if Kretinsky just doesn't have access to the cash to pay up? Asset rich cat, he's rich. He's cash. He's cash rich as well. I wouldn't worry about him not being able to find money to buy something. Sanusi, so true. No logic to support West Ham. No logic whatsoever. But there you go. That's what we are. We're West Ham fans. Nice one. Good evening to you. If I'm correct that Sully has first dip, absolutely. I hope I've explained that. Don't really want to try and go into it again. But no, all the shareholders, this preemption process, all the current shareholders have now got the opportunity to buy a portion of the Sullivan of the gold shares. And so of the 25.1%, so that means Sullivan could buy 13% of the 25%. Kretinsky can buy 9%. Trip Smith can buy 2.68%. And then the other small shareholders 3.7%. And that's the first part of this process, the preemption process. If any of those current shareholders turn around and go, I'm not interested, then you go into a phase 2. Whoever's left will then be able to buy a bigger percentage of that 25%. So if it's only Kretinsky left, he would then have to decide whether he wants to buy the whole 25% or not. Michael, were we in a state of flux before Staveley came in? We were in a state of flux before Staveley came in, so I suppose it might as well get all done in one fell swoop. The problem is, though, Michael, we're always in a state of bloody flux for one reason or another, and we always think that the silver lining is just around the corner, only for something else to come up to put us back into that state of flux. Darkstar, we don't need owners who are not getting along. We need owners on the same page. I do wonder. It's what's his name said about his about the mail thing. Where has that gone? Because it's just made me go, you know, when the light bulb switches on after you've been talking for a whole hour and 40 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. I can't find it, but I do wonder, maybe Kretinsky was in on this all along. Maybe he was in on this all along. George, the Czechs love making promises and going back on his word. The Czech loves making. He did to the staff at Royal Mail, then wrecked the industry and went back on everything he promised. Michael, everyone seems to want to have a part of West Ham these days. Karen Bravery didn't do a very good job of selling the gold shares. 3 years she had to sell them. Couldn't find anyone, apparently. Yuha. Frog, fair point about the jobs. Listen, mate, I've not got nothing against Russ. Don't get me wrong. He's a mate, you know, but the fact that Russ has got a full-time job. Yeah, of course it hurts to be part of something for 25 years, but Russ does work full-time. But all these other people at West Ham United who have been made redundant, that was their full-time job. Yuha. DK can just put money in club to dilute the shares and force everyone else to spend more. Yeah, he could do that. Toha. If I was told they couldn't pay me for a much-loved hobby, I full-on offered to do it free. Fair play. Well, we're talking about the DJing there. Jason, the gold shares were available for some time, 3 years, and Kretinsky had plenty of time to buy them, yet he didn't. And yes, Vanessa Gold wants the best price for her shares. That's business. I'm absolutely not dismissing what she's done. Absolute fair play to her. Like I've said, I did the analogy earlier on when I sort of held up my watch and I said, you know, if someone comes to me and says, I want to buy your watch, I like it, I'll offer you $2,000. And I'll be looking at it going, well, I might accept that. And then someone else comes along and says, forget that, I'll offer you 4. I'm going to go, well, fuck the $2,000. I'll take the 4. Of course you'd do it. Absolutely. Harry, who, how, where, what's going on still? Impromptu, mate. I love doing these impromptu live shows. There you go. GP, I would offer to watch still. Mate, you've got to stop. I'm worried about you. Get help. Paolo, classic Mexican standoff, worst case scenario. Frog, to me to be, but not sure. I would knowing the oh, fuck off. They're doing it on purpose now. They know I'm on. Wiggy just phoned, and now Paul Williams is phoning, knowing that I'm just going to fuck off. Go away. Steve, it's on Kretinsky. He could have bought all these gold shares, but didn't because he threatened his ownership of Slavia. He needs to decide where his priorities are. Let Staveley take the reins. Well, it doesn't hinder his stake in the Czech club. Jay, DK statement, the agreement we had reached with the Gold family in June provided stability for the club. Today's announcement does just the opposite. Yeah, I read out all the statements earlier on in this show, mates. I'm quite happy to go over them again. Staveley has made an offer to Sullivan. Has she? Hammer 89? Don't think she has. She hasn't even bought the gold shares first. She's going to need to do that first before anything else. Josh, my worry is that Sullivan may have stepped down, but now he is certainly majority owner. It's a huge mess now. Who else have we got? Harry. Staveley has offered Sully 3 games in Newcastle. See, this is what it's like being a West Ham fan. We can laugh at these things, can't we? Josh, they haven't pulled some masterstroke and hoodwinked 50,000 people. We have a loyal fan base that has always followed the club. Absolutely what I think as well. Michael, Pablo is joining the West Ham Hall of Fame with Hugill and Boogers. See, that's what it's about. Take the piss out of each other. Take the piss out of ourselves. Richard, West Ham is a head fuck at the moment. What about the playing staff? Watching this afternoon, we ain't going to finish in the top half. I'm one of 50,000 and it feels like a con. There you go. Someone has just said it's not a con. Someone else has just said it is a con. We all have our views. Rob, I don't think it's a con, but there you go. We won't be spending anything until the shares have been bought. No. The statement, the club statement, I'm happy to go through it again, but the club statement has made it abundantly clear that it's business as usual while all this shit show goes on above our heads. Hammer 89, pots and skulls ain't good enough. Simple. I'm afraid you're right. Tom, it's a stalking horse maneuver before a club takeover. I surmise in 18 months, both Kretinsky and Grubby Dave will have gone and we are owned by a Qatar sovereign wealth fund. We might well be, but they still can't spend any more money than anyone else can. So we can be owned by the biggest consortium in the world. Makes no odds. But yeah, you might be right there, Tom. That might be the way we're going. Anthos, good evening to you. Staveley needs to ship all these rubbish owners out. She's a minority shareholder. If she even becomes that, we don't even know if even that's going to happen. You know, Kretinsky and other shareholders may turn around and go, stuff this for a laugh. We'll match this Staveley bid and keep her out of the club. Kretinsky just sat back and watched Sully run riot, even praised Slapper Brady. Enough's enough. John, wasn't it reported Kretinsky and Staveley came to an agreement looking at a split with the other shareholders other than Sullivan involved? It was Kretinsky and Gold who came to an agreement, but you're the second person that's maybe alluded to a Kretinsky-Staveley kind of pact. Dan, both are good enough to be squad players, and that's a success for the academy. Not everyone is Rice. Harry, it's the land, I tell you. Of course it's the land. It's the land it sits on. Richard, good evening to you. Bit of a mess, granted, but what are the chances of Staveley-Kretinsky coalition? A vote of no confidence against Sully. Well, Sully's out of the picture at this moment in time. But if there's a hostile takeover, she's going to need Kretinsky on her side. So I can see that that approach. Frog, judging by the consecutive governments, a trip down to 5 guys and some shares would secure the land. Where are we getting to? Jake, good evening to you. To be honest, all this aside, I think Nuno has to go for us. To improve, and the chance of going up. Kretinsky's decision to keep him always made me think he wasn't right to run the club. Ed, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Who else have we got here? Let's scroll down. Iron Ore. Gold is allowing Sullivan to own 51.8% of shares. Gold is allowing Sully to own 51.8%, and there's nothing anyone can do. 38.8, but no, that's not what I said. No, that's not what I said. That's not how the process works. That's not how the process works. Sorry, I hope I haven't confused you, but the whole process works. This preemptive rights process means that now, you know, this is the agreement. This is how it works. So the shares are available. A person outside of the club has made an offer. So the preemptive process means that the current shareholders have a right to buy some part of those shares that have been offered. So Sullivan could take up the deal. He could turn around and go, yeah, sod it. I'm going to match Amada Staveley's share valuation, and I'm going to buy my 13% of the 25% that's available. He could do that. It's not gold allowing him to do that. That's the process that's in place. It has to be done. It's part of the process. It's diligence. That's what. So it's not gold doing it. So please don't miss. I hope I haven't misled you. Not Vanessa Gold doing it. It's the process that's in place that has to happen. Tony, Nuno still starting Pablo every game should be enough for him to go and for Eddie Howe to come in. Toha, Harry, I have a go to tune to combat the whinging. I didn't understand that, but about whinging. Hi, Stel. Great show. Thank you very much. I believe Vanessa Gold has backtracked her statement saying she wanted to keep 10% of shares to keep as far that she has back. Well, now she sold the whole lot. Michael, if we buy the land around the London Stadium, we would have to make a deal to secure athletics to London. They need a stadium with the capacity in order to act. No, this is the thing, you see. This is the thing, Michael. If we end up agreeing to buy the land and the stadium that it sits on, it will be on the proviso that we no longer have to continue doing athletics. That's the big difference. That's the big difference. GP, Howe is not coming to West Ham. We missed Howe by a month. Gary, I'm saying it don't matter who's in charge. If we don't buy soon, whoever owns will be a championship club in 2028. Gary, we'll make playoffs with this current squad. Don't know if we get through them, but we'll make playoffs. So, Tony, Iron 13% of 25%, that's Vanessa Gold owns, not 13% of the total shares. Ibrahim, Kretinsky gets to see his stock value increase without putting in any more of his own money. Why wouldn't he be pleased about that? Well, yes, that's a good point. But yes and no, Ibrahim, because when we were a Premier League club, we were worth about £800 million. We've gone down in value. We're now worth about £450–500 million. Now, what Staveley has done, she's thrown a spanner in the works. Now, with her offer, she's valuing the club at about £640 million. So we're no longer valued at 800 million. She's suggesting, because she wants to buy in, that she doesn't think we're valued at 500 million. It's in between. So in a way, if we get back up to the Premier League, his stock, Kretinsky's stock, will go up even more because we'll go back up to a 750–800 million pound valuation. So yes and no. Ian, hi, Stel, the circus starts again. Season tickets sold with line. I don't buy into this. I'm not saying that you're wrong. Your thinking's wrong, but I don't buy into this. I think a lot's going on. Like someone has suggested, maybe Kretinsky was well aware of the Staveley issue. But then again, if he was, now I'm going to backtrack, because if he was, why would he put out a statement to say it's not going to be good for the club? Well, let me just reread the statement that he put out. What he actually said was, why does that keep going down? Let's refresh that. Because Kretinsky then said about this deal, today's announcement, so the Gold family shares, we reached agreement with the Gold family in June to providing stability for the club at this crucial time. Today's announcement does the opposite. So I don't know now, would he have put out a statement like that to say it's caused instability? I don't know. It's a mind fuck. John, we better hope that Staveley and Kretinsky are going to work together and force a hostile takeover. Otherwise, we're stuck with Sullivan, who would remain as the majority owner still. Correct there. Who else have we got? Iron. The person that sent Stel these figures said if Sully takes the option to buy his shares, they go up by 30. Yes, they do. But it's not that Gold is allowing them for this to happen. It's part of the pre-emption process. It has to happen. The current owners have to, are given the opportunity to make a decision whether they want to buy any part of the Gold shares. But it's not Gold saying to them, come on then, you can buy the shares. It's the preemptive process that's in place. So you're right, Iron. Yeah, it would increase if Sullivan decided to take his stake. It would increase his stake by 13%, but that doesn't mean that it's Gold allowing him to do that. It's part of the process that's in place. You can't make a hostile takeover of privately owned company. That's a good point. Jolino, Joel, good evening to you. Iron's math is right. Sullivan owns 38. When you take 25% of it represents 50. Yeah. Absolutely. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But the suggestion was that it's Gold allowing him to do it. It's not Gold that allowing him to do it. That's the preemption process. The preemptive process that's in place will allow him, if he wanted to take that opportunity up, will allow him to buy. That's not Gold's fault. That's what's been agreed. That's in the agreement of the sharehold. Johnny, good evening to you. I'm not too worried about the shareholders buying each other up. What concerns me is the scoring a goal and trying to hang on to tactics from the start. You're absolutely right. We need to be worrying about, we've just done an hour and a half and talking about the ownership of this football club and haven't spoken about how poorly we played today and what we need to get this squad fully up and running. Daniel, I'm guessing Staveley will know her buying this. I'm guessing Staveley will know her buying this gives Sullivan majority still. Absolutely. She's seen he can't run a football club, so she must have a plan, some kind of plan with all this. Yeah, less. If Kretinsky does buy Gold shares, then he has best interest for the club. We know Staveley is only there for her interest. Bottom line, we need our identity back and a proper club. Well, all these promises that have been made, all these sort of things that, talking about the badge, talking about the stadium. Look at the stadium now, by the way. The stadium, that wall that was separating the away fans with the home fans has come down. Well, it hasn't come down. What did I suggest about, when did it go up? 3 years ago, something like that? Put perspex up, so you can see each other, but you've got that protection. Guess what they've done? They put perspex up. But all these things, I'm digressing. All these things are, to make it a lot better, to make, West Ham United a lot better. Will that all go out the window now? I don't know. So there's all this talk about Staveley buying the stadium, buying the land, buying this, buying that, buying the other. It's a lot of money. Anthos. Flip me, Stel. Just stick a pair of boots on. We cheer you on, mate. This Pablo's a complete joke. You don't want to see Wiggy shirts. Mitchell, I'm going to watch this again for the comments. Good stuff. Thank you, Mitchell. Appreciated. Muttley, Sullivan is not the majority shareholder. We don't have one. Well, he is. He owns 38.8% of this football club. So he is the majority shareholder. I don't, unless I'm missing something, mate. You'd have to tell me where I'm going wrong with that assumption. Mark, I would have got away with it, but if it wasn't for those pesky kids, Joel, Gladstone finally admits Nuno's a defensive coach. Do you also concede as a shit one? No, I don't. I'm going to tell you again why. Because I want to see when we've got a full squad together before the end of this transfer window, if we've got the players in to improve this squad, I then want to see what he does with that improvement. If he continues to play in the same manner, the defensive line with attacking players, then I will concede that, he's only a defensive coach and that's all he knows. But if he, at this moment in time, I'm looking at that squad and I'm seeing no creativity, no pace. The final third is really, really poor. And when you've got that at the moment, you're trying to play to the best of your ability. Now, I won't lie. I was really disappointed in the last 10 minutes when he brought on three subs who are all defenders, defending a friendly game, a 1-0 lead. And I thought, why are you doing it? You're playing right into the hands of all your critics. So it did disappoint me. But I want to see what happens if and when we get an improved squad, whether it be loan players, permanent players, whatever it may be. I then want to see what he does with those players. If he continues to play in this way, then yeah, I'll hold my hand up and I'll say I was wrong. Frog, some pitch side chevrons indicating which way the ball is supposed to be going may help this season. Good evening to you, Clive. I hope we well. That looked a Sullivan team today. Well, you can blame Sullivan all you want. He's not around. Mark, how waiting for the crowd to mess up? Jason, Stel, can Staveley up her offer if the shareholders agree to what? No, I don't believe she can. She's made her offer. It's on the table now, and that's that. Otherwise, you're playing what? Sort of. Well, I offered 160 mil. Well, you matched it. Well, I'm going to offer 170 mil. You matched that. I don't think it works that way. I don't know, but I don't think so. No. So basically, if the current shareholders match her valuation and want to buy that proportion of their share of the Gold shares, then she can't do anything about that. Sharky, do you think Hermansen starts at the keeper? He does start as a... Oh, no, it's a cup game. So Areola will start next weekend. Who else have we got here? Christian, sorry, Leighton. Can Sullivan even invest now? He's under investigation, may not pass the fit and proper owners. Well, he's only under investigation by the IFR if he's found guilty of any wrongdoing. And at the moment, you know, the law of this land is you're innocent until proven guilty. Jolino, normally if the outsider offer is matched by existing shareholders with preemptive rights, those existing shareholders get to buy their shares of the seller's share at that price. Yeah, I thought so. I didn't think Staveley could come back and offer even more money. Michael, a week out from the season kickoff and yet no new signings. That performance today does nothing for my confidence going forward. Now this talk about the uncertainty in the boardroom is not good. I agree. Mr. POTUS, I don't think this move is very great at all for our club. Look at the state of affairs she left Newcastle in. Frog, even if we could score 90, we'd need to massively improve the amount we've conceded over the last 3 seasons. It's ridiculous. Christian, and Kretinsky was part of that faffing around ownership. Not buying gold shares, another faffing around moment in my view. Ray, I enjoyed the school reunion yesterday. I got talking to my favourite, Sarah. She said that she now runs a bird sanctuary. I said, I bet you've had a cockotty. A cockotty? A cockotty. Thanks, Ray. Joe, I heard Kretinsky is planning to sell his shares and take up the job of club teacher. Oh, Muttley. Is 38 the majority of 100? No, but no one else has got a bigger sharehold than he has. Everyone else has got less than 38. So he is the majority shareholder, you know, because everybody else has got less than that. You know, Kretinsky got 27%. The Gold family have got 25.1%. Trip Smith has got 8 or 9 or 10% or whatever. So yes, he's the majority shareholder. Garino, even to you, go to summer transfer thread, page 805. Look at the post at the top of the page. We'll do later. You're going to have to tell me what it's about because I know I'm going to forget to go on it. Iron Disciple, good evening to you. A Wolves fan told me Nuno in the relegation waters was playing decent attacking football, or that he's shown he could do. He can, but I don't know if he was taking the piss, despite Nuno Silva combo having success. A Wolves fan told me Nuno in the relegation waters was playing decent attacking football. Well, a lot of Wolves fans will tell you who played decent attacking football. I don't know what's happened. Ian, he may want to be pushed out. Who? Kretinsky? Maybe. Ray. Kretinsky has had more than enough time to buy these shares, and he hasn't. We want people in there to put that money where their mouths are. Alexandra. That statement really didn't sound like they were in cahoots on this, though. No, it didn't, did it? Yeah. So I've taken back that thinking straight away. No, it didn't sound like they were in cahoots. Garino. Kretinsky did not mess around buying these shares. Staveley's interest has been there since April. She's just bid more, and Vanessa Gold decided to sell Staveley for more money. Yeah. And if that's the outcome, then that's the outcome. You know, and it's business, and Kretinsky will understand that. And Kretinsky is going to go, right, fair enough. I agree to buy them. She's got a better deal. I'm going to have to, if I want them, I'm going to have to match the offer. Yeah, it could be that simple. Iron Disciple. Kilman could have a Winston Reed moment. That goal and past few games, he's not been too bad. Good actually. Kilman said he always wanted to be an iron. This could be his time. He played all right today, believe it or not. Kelly, Staveley or Kretinsky? I hope it's more of a team than a battle. Jason. Areola should start the new season. He's a better shot stopper. Get rid of Hermansen. Bring in Orlando Gil, Paraguay's keeper. 6 to 7. He's in his 20s. 6 or 7 million is in his 20s. How far behind am I? Nearly there. Ibrahim. Wolves scored many more goals than any other team when they won the league. Ian, Stel, I wish you luck following that site. Not me. Sorry. What site? Which site are you talking about? What did I say? Which site did I mention? What site have I mentioned? Frog. Herrick isn't far off being a regular. He'll be third choice this season. Ibrahim, 18, 19, 19, 20. Wolves played incredible football in the Premier League when they had insanely strong squad. Garino, in brief then, Stel, Sully will be gone within the year. Selling to Staveley or Kretinsky. We have money to spend. Keep calm and carry on. Ian, sorry, still. I mean, Nuno, I wish you all the best following that squad for me. Okay, I've got you. And Jake, I'm just worried that we're not ready for the season. Everything is up in the air. The club is in a mess. I'm stopping. I've done an hour and 40 minutes. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Let me finish off. I might as well just finish off, like just going through the basics. So let's read Vanessa Gold's statements. As the daughter of David Gold, it was a great honour to step in as joint chair and director role following his passing away in 2023. Whether as a youth team player, lifelong fan or owner, my father's priority was always to champion and protect this great club. Over the past 3 years, I've taken huge personal pride in continuing that legacy and will always be hugely grateful to the staff, players and fans who allowed me to do so. On the 12th of June, Daniel Kretinsky and I agreed a sell that would have made EP Group the single largest shareholder in West Ham. Unfortunately, since that time, the original deal and other alternatives that we have discussed could not be brought to fruition. Not elaborated on that, but the original deal fell away for whatever reason. Maybe maybe Kretinsky was taking his time, maybe not. We just don't know. In light of this, I've now reached an agreement to sell my family sharehold to Amada Staveley, Medrad Gadusi, and PCB Capital Partners. The sale remains subject to a pre-emption process under which the existing shareholders have the option to buy the shares instead. While the process is not yet concluded, I wanted to be open with our fans about where things stand. Was she? Who knows? My ambition throughout this process has been to ensure the club has right leadership and ownership to enable West Ham to achieve its potential and return to its rightful place in the Premier League. Amada Staveley, Gadusi, PCP will bring deep experience and understanding what it takes to lead a successful football club, and I have every confidence in what she does and what she and her partners can bring to West Ham. Meaning, possibly, I don't believe Kretinsky is your man, but I think Staveley is. While the sale process proceeds, I will continue to act in the club's best interest, blah, blah, blah. Kretinsky, short statement. The agreement that we reached with the Gold family in June provided stability for the club at a crucial time. Today's announcements does the opposite. We will always act in the best interest of West Ham and are reviewing all our options, including the exercising our pre-emption rights in full. And then the statement that came from the club itself earlier this evening. West Ham can confirm it is aware of the announcement from joint chair Vanessa Gold that she has reached a provisional agreement to sell her share, and provisional. See, it's not done and dusted, it's provisional, to sell her shares to the consortium PCP led by Staveley and Gadusi in partnership with Ashland Forest Capital Partners. The proposed transaction will now be subject to a pre-emption rights process. This provides all existing shareholders with the opportunity to acquire. So I can't remember who I was trying to explain that to, but this is, the process, the pre-emption rights process is in place. It's not Gold allowing Sullivan to buy more shares if he so chooses. So this process will take about 2 months, and until completed, nothing will change regarding ownership structure of this club. West Ham would like to assure support. This is the bit that we would all, are really, really interested in. West Ham United would like to assure supporters that the day-to-day running of the football club is in no way affected by this situation. Preparations for the new season continue to take shape with diligence and focus, and we will thank all fans for their continued loyal backing at this time. The club will be making no further comment while the pre-emption process runs its course. I'm done. I'm parched. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for taking part. And now I've just seen a whole load of other comments, so let's get them out of the way. Michael, was it not reported that David Gold's wish was that the family hold on to part of his shares? It was indeed. If true, now if the family sell all the shares, they'll be going against his wishes. They absolutely are. Tony, Ibrahim, they didn't have Pablo up front for them, though, did they, mate? Ibrahim, you're right about that, Tony. Garino, also statement on West Ham. Done that. I've read that out about 5 times now, mate. Good evening to you, We57. He is dead. I don't think he's going to jump out of his grave and chase them down the road for selling his shares. I Disciple, I watched Wolves but did not know too much on Nuno's setup other than it worked. Muttley, Google what is the majority. I can't, mate. I can't explain it to you anymore any other way. A majority shareholder is the one that owns the most shares in anything. So David Sullivan is the majority shareholder. He owns 38.8% of this football club. No other shareholder owns more than that. Michael, many thanks, Stel, for your sensible, I appreciated. So much better to listen to than on the West Ham channel. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Simon, Staveley is a massive friend of the Reuben brothers. I know that. Yep. Talked about that. Sod your statement, Kretinsky, do something about it then, from Mark Garino. He might have to. He might match the offer that Staveley made. It's going to be really interesting if he does match the offer. If he matches the offer, then he means what he said, doesn't it? If he doesn't match the offer, then yeah, Staveley comes in. Staveley and the consortium are interested in the land, bringing the NFL and baseball to London. Call Scarino. Big money. Ed. Well done. Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you for listening. Thank you all. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for taking part. And I'm right, Ibrahim. Majority doesn't mean 51% or more. Right, that's it. I'm off. This time I am off. Thank you. Have a great weekend. I'm sure I'll be back tomorrow with something. There's always something to talk about when it comes to West Ham, isn't there? So look out for more shows. If you've not subscribed, then just bloody well do it. Subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything. It certainly won't cost you a penny. So do that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a good rest of the Saturday evening. That's what's left of it. And I'll see you all soon.